In this screencast, I'm going to try to bring together a lot of the things we've been talking about throughout this course. I'm going to let you know right up front that I'm going to probably make mistakes and have to retrace my steps. But as I mentioned in the getting started portion of this course, that's just part of visual design. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes and you need to sort of figure out what you did wrong and work from there. Alright, so I am going to start by giving this course, or this page, rather, a name. We're going to call it By the Numbers. And what I want to do is upload some images into this page. I'm going to use the Insert Content into the Page feature to upload some new images. So I'm going to upload one here. Use the Embed Image tool to update the alt text. I'm going to repeat that process for each of the other numbers. So select 2, upload it, select it, use Embed Text tool to update the alt text. I'm going to upload 3. Again, I'm going to use the Embed Image tool to update my alt text. And then, finally, I'm going to upload 4. Select it, use the Embed Image tool to update the alt text. Alright, so we have 4 images of equal sizes uploaded. I'm going to click Save to see how it looks. Alright, we can see that in this particular browser window with this size, we have 1, 2, 3 on the first line and then 4 on the second. If we resize our browser, that changes, right? I would like this to display 1, 2, 3, and 4 all on the same line. So let's go in and edit and see how we can make that happen. Alright, so let's pop into HTML editor. And again, this looks sort of intimidating, but it's not. If you just think about it, this is the HTML for these 4 images. So we can see here, if we do Control F or Command F and look for IMG, we have 4 images. Let's just break those up into individual images here. And the width right now, both the width and the height, because they're squares, are set at 300 pixels. I would like them to take up the entire page, and I would like for them to each have equal width, so I'm going to give them 25%. Alright, let's pop back over to Rich Content Editor and see how that looks. Alright, for some reason, there is now a space in between each of these, and I do not want that. So to remove those spaces, select one of your images and then just use your arrow keys on the keyboard to move over to the left, then hit backspace. We're going to do that again. So select the image, over to the left, and backspace. Select the image, over to the left, and backspace. And now let's click Save. Alright, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 all in sequence, and if we resize our page, they change too, which is handy. Now I'd like to try something a little bit different. Let's click Edit. What I want to do is have it so that we have 1 and 2 on the top row and 3 and 4 on the bottom row. However, I don't want them to take up the entire screen. So what I'm going to do is select 3, hit enter. I would like for these to be centered in the page, so I'm going to have my cursor on highlight 2 and press over 1 and just use a line here. I'll do the same thing for the second row. Then I'm going to pop into HTML editor. And I do want spaces between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but I don't want to use the spacebar to do that. Instead, I'm going to use padding. So again, let's look for our IMG tags. And you'll notice that there's a lot more data here than there was earlier about our images. That's because Canvas has added in a little bit of information for its own reference about where these files can be located, where they're stored. We don't need to worry about that at this point. What we need to worry about instead is figuring out how to create that sort of grid that I'd like. So I'd like for there to be a good bit of space, white space around these 4 images. So why don't we change our width to 40%? And you know what, let's get rid of that height data, even though it doesn't affect our code, just for simplicity's sake. So right now, each of these images is going to take up 40%. And I'd like some padding in between the images to create some space. So I'm going to need to add in a style attribute. So what I'm going to do is click Style, or rather type in Style, equal, quotation mark, padding. Why don't we add a 25 pixel border? And we'll do the same for the third image. If we add padding to the first image on each row, we don't need to add it to the others because the spaces will already be there. All right. Well, that didn't take. This one did. Let's go back and see what I did wrong. There it is. So we have this padding around these 2 images and none around these 2. All right, let's click Save and see how that looks. All right, that is just too big, right? That's not very attractive. Let's go in and resize. If you're just looking to change the width, you can use your controller Command F to find width. That looks nice, but you know what? I feel like there doesn't need to be padding on the top and bottom of here. So let's go in and alter our padding settings. Right now we have a 25 pixel border everywhere. Let's just add it to the right hand side of the image and see what that does. Alright, that has created a border there, but it's a little too much. Let's go with 15. Alright, and we have this. But you know what? I think I'd like for them all to be on one row and have space between them. So what I'm going to do right now is bring this back. I'm going to go in and get rid of my padding and start from scratch with that. So just get rid of our style attributes. Let's put our images all on one line just for convenience. Alright, so we have our images here. They're each set to take up 20% of the page, and I would like for there to be a slight space in between each one. So I'm going to add padding to the middle two images. Can't forget to put my style attribute in. Style equals. Let's put padding on the left at 10 pixels and padding on the right at 10 pixels. And to prevent user error, I'm going to just copy and paste that below. Let's go over to our rich content editor and see how things look. Again, looks like Canvas has added in an extra space. So let's get rid of that. And if you notice, we have padding here, but we have extra padding here. So what I'm going to go in and do is remove the padding on the left for our third image. Now we see they are evenly spaced. Then I think it would look better if they were a little larger. So right now, let's go in. They're each 20%. Let's change that to 22%. There we go, and that is much better. So as you can see from this little exercise, there's a lot of trial and error involved. You're going to go down paths that lead nowhere. You're just going to need to retrace your steps and figure out something else that works. And in so doing, you're going to figure out sort of what works for you from a design perspective, what sorts of HTML tips and tricks you enjoy. But if you approach it with the spirit of exploration, then I think you're going to really enjoy visual design in Canvas.